Instead of just tinning our edge foil, we're going to go a step further and add a bead of solder along all the outside edges of our project. This is edge finishing, and it acts like a frame. It makes the foil more sturdy, and it helps to smooth out the dips that the break lines make when they hit the edge. Before we can edge finish, we need to do these things. First, get all of your soldering done, both front and back sides of your project. Do any touch-ups or smoothing out of the rough or spiky spots on the seams. Get that all complete. Then, make sure your edge foil has been tinned. Last, make sure all of the flux has been washed off before we edge finish. This is really important. You'll see why. At the center of the table, grab some wedges, 1 or 2 on each side. Set your project up like this, and bring the fume extractor just above your work. FYI, standing up will make this a whole lot easier. Brush flux on your edge. Then, angle your iron down at 45 degrees. This is super important in order to do this right. We're going to be chopping off tiny sections off of the end of the solder piece and dabbing them onto the edge, hence the name chop and dab. This is how you do it. If you're right-handed, work from right to left. Chop the tip of the iron into the solder and use a dabbing motion along the edge about 1 inch at a time. The iron angled downward pulls the solder into the beaded shape. Keep chopping and dabbing until you get all the way to the other side of your work. Next, we have to smooth it out because it may look lumpy or rough. So just add more flux and re-dab the solder that's already there. Adding more flux and doing the re-dabbing makes it smoother, and then it also makes all the dirt rise to the surface. See the difference between the flat edge that's just been tinned and the beaded edge finished edge? Notice all the dirt? The flux makes it float on the surface so that it can be washed away. Here's me adding a bead to one side. First slow, and then I'll speed it up to save time. So notice the iron's angle, and then notice that I'm just chopping and using this sort of tapping motion. That's super important. If you drag the iron across, the bead goes away and you're back to a flat, tinned edge. Now we add more flux and re-dab to smooth it out. Use that same motion that you did just before, and don't add any more solder. Reposition the window and repeat the process for the remaining 3 sides. Here's why you always wash off the flux before you edge finish. Solder may drip down the sides. If you're chopping along and you accidentally chop off too much solder, just like right here, oh, what do? It's okay. Just peel it off with your fingernail. You can use the tip of a push pin or even the end of a piece of solder. If the flux was washed off, that means that the solder drip won't stick to every seam that it ends up hitting. If the drip is connected to the foil, though, you'll need to drag your iron across to detach it. Then you can peel everything else off. This is what your edges should look like. With practice, they'll look better. When all 4 sides are complete, now you can do a final wash, get the numbers off, add patina if you want, then wax it, and you're done.